Today we're taking a look at the KeysMe Mars 3 keyboard. Actually, this is a mechanical keyboard with a Mission to Mars theme that goes all the way through the entire experience. From the build, from the accessories that come with it, even down to the keys that are on the actual keyboard, the ability of changing switches, as you can imagine, but even the armrest, or the basically palm rest that we have in there, is customized, and you can actually choose all the different parts to make it your own. I'm really happy to be able to share with you guys my review of the Mars 3 series. I've had this for the last few weeks, and it has some unique features that you did not probably think a mechanical keyboard should have. Let's go ahead and check it out. Like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. So what we have in front of us is the actual keyboard. There's a few configurations, actually different color options, even down to the actual keys themselves. You're able to get different colors depending on the setup that you'd like. There's the KDA and the OEM die sub configuration. This one is the one that came out, that initially came out, and I felt like looked really, really nice with the nice blue tint color here that we have on the body. Now, when it comes down to the material that we have in here, it's entirely built of CNC'd aluminum, obviously the keycaps in there, and then zinc alloy to provide us that nice, not only just heavy weight, it has definitely very, very nice weight, but you can definitely hear that. It is a numbered limited edition version of it. This is the Mars 3 series. The footing here are actually raised. They look kind of like lander footings from like what we'd imagine if this was a mission to Mars kind of going on. We do have an offset here at the bottom, but entirely one piece here at the bottom with the sticker in the middle, just giving us that experience. On the side, we have access to, let's go ahead and let it focus. There's a screw here to be able to open it up, as well as a docking area here for the side fidget spinner that we're looking at here. And the beautiful thing about it is they're magnetically connected, and you can configure them in whichever version or side that you'd like. At the end of the day, it's all about the fidget spinner. And then, of course, when we go down to the back, we have basically a little dock to be able to put in the USB-C connector. This is for me for the 2.4 gigahertz option. Obviously, there's the wired connection that goes straight back in the back here, and then pretty much a clean experience on the side. The right side and left side are pretty much married. There is no buttons on the side, and of course at the bottom we have, you can now either accept that or get to work, of course, because this is going to be a really nice keyboard. Gaming, working from this is not going to have any problems. The switches that we have already installed on here are going to be one of two options that are available. They're basically Gateron switches. Either you go directly with the standard one that they have in there, or you can go with the weightlessness version. Let's go ahead and remove the keycap here. I'm going to remove it. And the reason I'm moving this is because I actually have both switches installed in here. So as you can see, really easy. They do provide us a nice little tool removal here where it says basically on the option here, the key is me, which is kind of what fits into the name of the company, which is KeysMe. And we have the two options in here. Now, the keyboard entirely is configured right now with the standard Gateron switches, and this is the weightlessness version. So the Gateron weightlessness in here, and of course the standard one. We'll do a sound test on that in a little bit, but it's pretty much easy. They're hot swappable, even down to the switches themselves, so you don't have to disconnect it. We have a little power button that's positioned right there. So this is going to be used if we're using it in a wireless solution, either Bluetooth or using the 2.4 gigahertz, again, built in here. And what I really like about this is it's easily configurable. So like right now, we're looking at it in window configuration. I can switch it over here. It switches over to Mac, back to window, very easy. We have a little joystick, a 5-way directional joystick, configured out of the box to be volume up, volume down, and then of course skip back and, well, go back and go forward. This is going to work just fine with almost every system. As long as you have music playing, you'll be able to control it here. And if you want to be able to control even the configuration here on that display, since this is not a touch display, you hold the function button and start swiping, and that just takes you through the different options, the ability of switching between wireless and configuration and, you know, wired configuration, jumping in here, and a nice little other animation here. Hopefully you guys see that a little bit. It looks like a little moon guy. And then next, last but not least, we can actually go back to the main screen. If we just keep scrolling all the way, it'll take us back to the main screen. Otherwise, if you'd like to be able to switch the WASD from the configuration here to the arrow buttons, you just have to do function W, that'll switch them. And then of course, functional W takes you back. You can disable the window key. You can configure it for Mac. You can configure it for PC. Pretty straightforward. And then when you're not using it, you just shut it off, and then it'll save battery for you, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, the palm rest that they include here is very nice. It has actually, let's go ahead and let it focus. There's a lot of little sparkling material here, trying to give us that experience of looking at the stars. And of course, if you put it down, it starts kind of coming down and giving you that experience there. It is not a soft material. It's definitely a harder material, but it actually does the job right. I was surprised because initially when I first got it, I felt like I needed a little bit more of a support, but this actually works pretty good. There's a few colors available on the palm rest as well as on the keyboard. There's 2, and here there's 4 different colors. Now, I talked to you guys at the beginning, we do have fidget spinners. This is something that I typically don't expect to get out of a keyboard. Both fidget spinners are pretty much magnetically configured. So you can basically connect them directly to each other. They don't really supposed to stay like this, but You'll see here there's a nice little mechanism in there, so let's go ahead and spin. It actually starts spinning it in there, and then of course there's even the blades inside here that start spinning. So if I stop, this will keep spinning, and if I spin it the other way, it'll stop it and then kind of trying to get it to the way where you want it to go. The intention of this is if you're sitting there, you're waiting for something and you're working, this actually just keeps your fingers kind of busy. So you can basically just put it in and play with it here, or even stop it. I've also kind of found that sometimes it helps just having, if I'm just sitting here, you know, I can do with that, take it off, play with it a little bit, and when I'm done, just put it back, and it works really nice. So from a configuration standpoint, you can pick up your switches, you can pick up the keycaps. They provided me with a few options, as I'm showing you guys right now, the different color options that you are able to get. Now this one is more of the Mars sand surfaced type of an experience. There's another one that looks a little bit more darker. It's kind of like more like at night on Mars. And of course, there's different chassis configuration, and they include a really nice large gaming mat that you see here on my desk right behind the keyboard in front of us. But I'm showing you guys a little bit more of a close-up look there. It really looks very nice. I mean, they have covered everything, and it's shown us everything that we're able to do with this keyboard. So I feel like what's better now is for us to go in and do a quick sound test typing on this Mars 3 keyboard. Now, before we get into the actual typing test, I do want to give you guys a quick sound sample between the two different switches that we have here. We have the Gatoron Mars switches, as well as the Gatoron weightlessness switches. Out of the box, this is the ones that's going to be basically the Gatoron Mars switches, and the weightless switches are pretty much a straightforward experience, but just want to give you guys the sound difference between the two. So what I ended up doing here is I put in both the switches in here and the best experience to be able to kind of hear them side by side. But let's go ahead and do a quick typing test. Again, this is on the actual keyboard. It's connected via Bluetooth right now. Actually, sorry, take that back. It's connected via the 2.4 gigahertz switch that we have in here. So we'll go ahead and do a quick sound test. Now, as you hear there's a little bit difference in sound experience. I feel like the weightlessness version does definitely have a little bit louder presence, and of course the standard Gatoron ones are going to work the best. If you're looking for more of a basically quieter profile, go with the standard one. And if you just want to feel a little bit of the weightlessness because they're a little bit easier to actually press, I would go obviously with that one. Just expect that the sound profile is a little bit higher. Configuration and function is pretty straightforward. There is a desktop app that you're able to download. You can customize, update the software, and even download different custom options for the lighting, as well as actually the display background, which makes it really nice and very easy to configure. To my understanding, currently Windows is the only one available, and the Mac OS will be available very soon. Now, to be able to switch between different configurations is a straightforward experience. If you just turn it on and you don't do anything, it jumps straight into Bluetooth mode. So you can pair it to your device, and as a normal keyboard, you'll be able to use it with your device, either Android or iOS. If you're going to use it with the 2.4 gigahertz function, you do need to hit the function and the tilde button. That's the furthest left button on the numeric line here on the top left. And that'll allow us to be connected to that fastest low latency experience while being wireless. Conversely, if you want to be able to switch between different options, again, the joystick function and the joystick configuration, it jumps from all the different options, and you can go in there a little bit more in detail. But as far as connecting it, they also do have that really nice connection cable that they included in there. It's USB-A to USB-C, and gives you the ability of doing obviously the best experience, because that's how you're going to charge up the keyboard, which has a built-in battery, which is really, really nice. And it lasts quite a long time. The range is really good, and the performance has been very, very nice. Now, the configuration that we have in here is a 75% configuration, meaning we do not have a keypad and some of the other options on the right, but that's just because it's intended to look like a lander. Actually, the best way I can say this is it almost looks like one of those spaceships that we've seen going like in space, you know, like sci-fi movies and so on. The build here is very nice. It has decent weight and it doesn't move. The legs on the back actually do look like lander footing, so it really looks nice. And then of course the experience just gets augmented by the fact that you can customize the keycaps, and you can reprogram the keys. Just make sure you put the right keycap on it. The one that they sent me included a lot more keys than I actually have in there, but it makes it easy for us to recustomize those options in there in the desktop application version. Now, the packaging that I received was not necessarily the retail package, because I received it pre-release, so a lot of the information that I have wasn't necessarily showing me what you'd get in the box. Typically, I would do an unboxing for you. But from what I've seen from the Lunar series from before, they typically will include more of basically like a walkthrough with some of the options on how to customize it, and it definitely will look very, very nice. If I do find some images and so on, I'll make sure to link those in the description below. So what I would probably say is that if you're looking for a unique experience when it comes down to a custom mechanical keyboard, I feel like the Mars 3 hits it right on the spot. because out of the box, you're really kind of given a canvas to be able to customize down to the way you want. Now, for me, I again went with the standard switches. I even went with the standard keycaps, kind of looking over like the Mars cover, but I'm able to switch them very easily, as I'm showing you guys right there with a little bit of a time lapse, as I was actually putting them on in the first place. So that's really the nice thing about it. It comes like a clean canvas. You can go in there, customize it, change the different options for the buttons. I like the joystick that's positioned there because it's very easy. I've seen other keyboards where they have a little bit of a knob at the top. Positioning this at bottom close to the directional arrows makes it a little bit more functional, because that's typically where my hand is sitting whenever I'm working, or let's say I'm doing something. That's generally where my fingers are sitting. So I can actually just jump over to the joystick, do a couple of configurations, and go back. I can go back in there, change the different color schemes, the different options in there. All the RGBs are basically, they go through a sequence of colors and themes going on there, and you can customize them all with the function button and the arrow keys. So the function arrow right changes the colors, and then you can go through from one to the other. So kind of summarizing this entire thing, it's an absolute really unique experience that will make anybody that is looking for a custom mechanical keyboard very, very happy. Do I wish that we had a bigger keyboard? Yes, but I feel like the theme would not have worked if this was a full, let's say 96% or even 100% keyboard, as again, it would be much wider. I like the options that we get in here, and I like the fact that they've not only thought about the keyboard, the mat, the palm rest, as well as the actual gaming mat, because all of that kind of feeds into what we do with our devices. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of the KeysMe Mars 3 series of keyboards? Because to me, these are absolutely kick-ass. Like, seriously, it's an absolute best way of experiencing anything. Gaming, productivity, everything that you want to do will work perfectly here. And you get the option of connecting it in one of 3 different ways. Wireless, Bluetooth, well, 2 different wireless, 2.4 and Bluetooth, as well as having it directly connected. We have a nice little display at the top right, and we also have the ability of just doing everything from one configuration, and it is super, super nice. It definitely is weighted nicely because of the materials they're using, so it's not going to slip, and the performance will not disappoint. It's a really nice custom mechanical keyboard from KeysMe. I'll see you in the next video.